Content disclaimer. The views, comments, and opinions expressed by guest speakers or authors on this YouTube channel do not necessarily reflect or represent the views and opinions held by this channel's broadcasters and its sponsors. Parental guidance is advised. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of Copyright Act of 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comments, news reporting, teachers, scholarship, education, and research. For fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringed.
Let's go.
What's up? What's up? What's up? Oh man, what's up, family? What's up, family? What's up, family? What's up, family? I hope everybody's well. We got a special show for you today. Got a special show for you today. Yeah, I got Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad on my shirt today. Yes, yes. How you feeling? How you feeling? Instagram, where are you? Where are you? Facebook, where are you? Where are you? YouTube, where are you? Where are you? Where are you? How's everybody doing out there in this world? Want to thank each and every one of y'all for coming in and spreading love the original Brooklyn way, spreading love the original American way. How y'all doing out there? Oh, we got a special guest coming up, a dear friend of mine for many, many years, man, many years. I dare to say that he taught me mostly everything I knew about disaster preparedness and introduced me to a matrix. That's why I was playing the matrix music. Introduced me to a matrix that I knew about for years, but I did not know it was that deep. And the brother that we're going to have coming up in the next 2 minutes is not only a dear friend of mine for many years, but also he's a good dude, disaster preparedness, self reliance, sustainability, and survival expert. He's done things in Africa, he's done things, work with people in Haiti, he's done things with people in Mexico and trained in different places. And today we're going to speak about surviving the 21st century with IA, the science of life protection, IA, which is improvise and adapting. The less you have, the more you have to apply because you're not supposed. One thing about IA though, wherever you go, you have to apply and use whatever terrain, whatever place, wherever you may go, you have to be able to use it to the best of your abilities. And of course, y'all know I'm not home in Georgia at this time. Big up to the family members that are in Georgia, holding down the house and everything else. And the house is. My son check on the house for me and all that, and then the person that I'm renting the house from is also checking it through the cameras, and we are doing what we got to do to maintain. But we're going to have a special show for y'all. Just want to remind each and every one of you that, of course, every Wednesday, we didn't do it this Wednesday, myself and Kerry Ann Ingram do the Healing Vibes show on Wednesday. Make sure you get your tickets for the Forbidden Knowledge annual award, the second annual. Make sure you go to forbiddenknowledge.com and go to second annual Forbidden Conscious Awards. Also, make sure you vote for your brother at 954-245-0086. Once you text that number, you can vote for me. All right, come on. And make sure you come out to the award show because, hey, y'all ain't got no excuses. If you didn't buy these tickets for August the 10th and 11th, sold out. The Gatherings of the Masters with Queen Afua, Sister Myra L., the one day only Jewel Pukrum, Dr. B. Sirius, Yaki Awakening, and Asir, the Duke of Tears. It has been sold out. All right. Y'all going to have to look at it online. So those who didn't make it, but you still have a chance to get these tickets. Tickets goes on sale on July the 1st for this 2-day event. And I might make it a 1-day event. I haven't decided, depending on how much the venue is going to charge. I got to make sure. But even if it's a 1-day extravaganza, beautiful. It's going to be a reasonable price for the whole day and for both ceremonies. And I'm going to make sure it's a reasonable price for both ceremonies. Okay. Again, tribute to Dick Gregory. And of course, tribute to the ancestors the next day with Baba Ashra Kwesi. Depending on the price, they tell me. Big up to CarrieAnnIngram.com, CarrieAnnIngram.com. That's CarrieAnnIngram.com. Today is a special report. We're going to have a special report with our brother today. So we're going to have a good time today, waiting for him to get on and get in the background. And we're going to have a wonderful, wonderful breakdown of information with Aton. Also, please support our dear sister, the one, the only cardologist, astronumerologist herself, Nina Dunham. Of course, go to leavenuniversity.com. That's leavenuniversity.com. And do remember, support Lloyd Strayhorn, lloyd-strayhorn.com. Hit him up, hit him up, hit him up. And of course, if you want for all your recording, mixing, and mastering needs, hit up my son and brother Jeff's studios at greenstudionyc.com, greenstudionyc.com. King Simon, if you want to book a session with me, I have now 15-minute sessions and also 30-minute sessions, but the prices have changed. 15 minutes, 30 minutes. But I usually go over, so it's 10 to 15 minutes and really 30 to 35 minutes the session. And I might go over just a little bit. But make sure you go to udemy.com/holistic numerovation, udemy.com/course/holistic numerovation. Get all my books on Amazon. You can purchase my books through Amazon and Kindle. And this book, we're about to release it. I had to do a reformatting thanks to Sister Teresa Rainbow Arts, but also thanks to Brother Joshua Sarah, who I'll be interviewing momentarily. Remember, family, I forgive myself, my family, and others for imperfection. I am thankful for my life. So make sure you forgive, and let go and grow. And those who are not willing to forgive you, hey, they can kick rocks. But as long as you forgive yourself and move on, be your authentic self in whatever you do, because I strive to be my authentic self. That's why you see me give a lot of people bly, and I show a lot of people love. I get, and they might not share. They might not even share any of my links. They might not even share a flyer for me. But sometimes you see me give love to people, and I'm getting it back other ways, reciprocal other ways, And but my brother that we're about to bring on. Also, I just want to remind people about the sister that's coming on July the 17th, getting back to the basics of our roots with herbalist Narubi Vision. She will be in with us on the 17th on the Healing Vibes show. And again, remember, I've been nominated for an awards, television host. I'm in the midst with all these different people, but make sure y'all vote for your brother by all and any means necessary, your brother. And if you can't come to the event, guess what? You can actually watch it on forbiddenknowledge.com. That's forbiddenknowledge.com if you subscribe to his television network, Billy Carson's television network. Seen him on the Joe Rogan show. You've seen him all over the place. So you know what he's doing. Big up to Billy Carson and the whole crew. And before we bring on our guests, let me run this commercial real quick, and then we'll bring on our guests right after this commercial break. Okay? Good.
Hey everyone, it's Billy Carson, aka Forbidden Knowledge. I am thrilled to introduce to you an extraordinary weekend event happening right here in Miami, Florida on August 3rd and 4th. It's none other than the second annual Forbidden Conscious Awards weekend. After the tremendous success of last year's event with over 1,200 attendees from around the globe, we knew we had to make this year's event even more spectacular. On Saturday, we have a captivating conference lined up featuring world-renowned speakers such as Muhammad Ibrahim, Merkaba 13, Robert Grant, Billy Carson, and a women's panel hosted by Elizabeth Carson. Following the conference, we'll set sail for a VIP yacht cruise at sunset where you'll have the chance to mingle with your favorite nominees and celebrity guests, all hosted by yours truly, Billy Carson. On Sunday, August 4th, kicks off with a Forbidden Knowledge book publishing signing event, followed by the highly anticipated second annual Forbidden Conscious Awards. This is a red carpet affair, so come dressed to impress. Remember last year we surprised a lucky guest with an Audi A4 during the awards, and this year we're upping the ante with a chance to win a Mercedes-Benz. So make sure you secure your tickets early. This event is sure to sell out quickly. I cannot wait to see each and every one of you there for what promises to be an unforgettable weekend.
So now, let's suppose the day has come. We have first contact, and the government and the military are scrambling to try and formulate some sort of plan. to deal with this. We don't quite know what we're facing. And one of the big issues, of course, is communication.
Tonight, it's Billy Carson. We're going to be talking about his new series, Anunnaki, the plans for 2024. It's going to be premiering across the country. We're going to be talking about that. And we've got a very, very special announcement tonight.
U.S. intelligence officers discovered a number of top secret documents. They confirmed that Germany was indeed exploring the under-ice space of Antarctica. There have also been reports of underwater submersible objects coming right up out of the ocean.
The beginning of this year was so startling in its energetic imprint that I thought, I want to get a really clear idea of what's coming up. Many of us have heard throughout the last few years that we're going into a time that is going to be more challenging.
You'll be learning how numbers dictate everything in the universe and how you can use this knowledge to help you on your journey. We're going to make the mathematical universe simple for you to break down the calculations of your future. Yes. Make sure you vote. Make sure you vote for your brother. That was the TV category that they're going to play during that. So they sent it to me and I wanted to play it to y'all. But without any further ado, man, this brother, I've been looking to get him on for a while. Really was waiting for his other book to finish, but this brother is always on point with what he done. I watched him on BLS the other day with Fatim and a whole host of people. Sabrina Lamb, who I worked with back in the day on WWRL radio, and various other people talking about, of course, Dr. Bowman. I had to call Dr. Sabi's son and say, is that one of Dr. Sabi's sons, Dr. Bowman? Because I know Sabi had a lot of children, and this guy. So it might be. I'm finding out because he looks like one of his older sons. So it might be one of Dr. Sabi's because what's so funny, Mr. Bolden, Dr. Bolden was raised by his grandmother like Dr. Sabi, and he don't mention his mother or his father in the bio. So you never know. Without any further ado, before anything, I want to say the brother that I'm about to bring on, please do me a favor, family. Please like, subscribe, share, and comment respectfully. Be respectful because this brother is a serious brother, but he's also a comical brother because he used to do comedy. He's an expert. He's an engineer. He's also a scientist. He's an expert at disaster preparedness, survival expert, and of course, the founder of the International Preparedness Network back in the day it was called the National, then it became International Disaster Preparedness, Self-Reliance, Sustainability, Survival Expert, and just a good old brother from another mother, man, who I love his mother, his late mother dearly. May she rest in eternal peace. Let's welcome right here on the stage of King Simon Present. He's not a stranger to any of my platforms, but he is a brother to me. And you know his wife is not a stranger. Let's welcome the one, the only Aton Edwards in the building. Aton!
What's up, brother? How you doing? I like the intro, brother. I appreciate that.
You know me. You know how we do.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Solar and lunar powered, the same brother King Simon, as always, full of energy and full of vim and vigor. So, you know what I'm saying? So you did that thing.
Simple Simon.
Keep it simple, Simon. There you go. We're going to get to do that this year now. We got to do that. We got to do that for sure.
Finally.
I'm finally here, Simon. Finally, right? I came up from this. I was in the submarine, chugging along in that sub. You know, every once in a while I would pop up into, a little thing and do that. But if you've been telling me, when you coming? I'm gonna come sooner or later. I'm coming. And finally I'm here. But it's funny because I'm coming like it seems like at the practical end of the world, right? Maybe that's kind of appropriate considering. But hey, brother, I'm here. I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to be with you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
I was talking about you. You mentioned Fatin and the KISS or the Open Line crew, and I was talking about you during that show because I was telling the crew that of all of the people that I've worked with and people that I've trained with over the years with IPN is that the one person who stayed on point throughout the whole process has been King Simon. And King Simon did exactly what he was supposed to do. He went out and went to the community, was talking about how when you used to put us in Temptations and and we used to do the classes there. You would do the evacuate, you would stage them yourself. It was like that was the way it was supposed to be done, So
wherever I went, brother.
Yes, so mad props to you for that. And I'm just happy to be here, But this is the right time. This is the right time.
Yeah. We moved to the Marcus Garvey Center. We did it in schools and colleges, and we did a lot of things, brother. So and there's a time when sometimes you have to just let our people go. Let our people go, because sometimes they're not ready, because most of our people are reactionaries and not proactive. And that's why I stopped doing it, really waiting for your next book to come out, because I know whatever book that you do come out is not going to be like Preparedness Now, which was written back in the early mid-2000s, but it's going to be even more enlightening and direct to our people. And let's talk about the workshop you got coming up. I want to make sure we get that off the ground right away. Because you got something coming up, the special upcoming workshop event on June the 29th, very appropriate date at 29 energy. And from 1 to 5 p.m. it's an IA Life Protection Fundamental Workshop with IA creator, of course, Aton Edwards, on Saturday, June the 29th. As he says about the event, Saturday, June the 29th from 1 to 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Join Afro Prep Now, GBS program, creator author Aton Edwards with an intensive and comprehensive online digital workshop explaining the fundamentals of the 21st century science of human survival, called IA, which is improvisation adaptation. You've been teaching us this for years, which I've been, the workshop will cover all of the essentials and vital information about emergency preparedness, self and home defense, emergency water storage, procurement and filtration, lighting, and power, and of course the communal what is it? Communication, transportation, and much more. That's what it says on the bottom there.
Communication. I think it's.
It's supposed to be communication. I thought so. Yeah, it's communication and transportation. So it messes up right there on the bottom. So we might have to go and fix that, brother. But brother, let's talk about it real quick. What else can people expect from this workshop that you got going on, my brother?
Well, one of the great things I like with talking to you, Simon, is the fact that you know the inside stuff that we had discussed over the years. This is not, you know what I mean? This is like these are conversations that you and I have had on numerous occasions about the real directive of what what IPN stands for, right? Yes. And what we really intended to do. But again, when you're dealing with the public, you want to have a certain amount of familiarity and give them something that they're kind of used to. And so we use preparedness because it's something that people can relate to. They don't know what IA is. They don't know what that kind of thing. They don't know anything about it, or even philosophy behind what we were doing, which was a lot broader than just dealing with preparedness, right? And you know that. And remember that time we did the thing, the Temptations, and the brother Aton just wants to do the gas mask. You remember that?
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah. And people would come and then oversimplify what we were doing. And so now this thing that we're doing on Saturday, which is just a full bore IA, which is the full bore IA, which is not the watered down. I'm not even bringing up preparedness anymore because, quite frankly, the old form of preparedness that we were doing, it just doesn't really have any relevance anymore with the world that we are in,
That's right.
And although, it's like there are elements of it that are absolutely necessary, the elements, but again, you can't make a pie with just one ingredient. You know what I mean? Even an apple pie needs more than one ingredient. It's simple, but it needs more than one. So what we're talking about here is is something that's multiphasic, a multidisciplinary science. It literally is science because a lot of it is rooted in science. Some of it is even rooted in technology.
Right.
That in order for you to really do this in a way that's going to serve you with the kinds of emergencies and disasters and calamities that we have coming our way, and some of them are already here, it's absolutely necessary for you to have a mastery of a number of different disciplines, even if it's just a practical understanding. I mean, again, unless you're coming into this with a certain skill set that you've developed over the years, like if you're a doctor, an MD, of course, then you have, you've learned chemistry, you've learned microbiology, you've learned physics, you've learned mathematics, you've learned all the different things, elements that you can use to apply. Or anyone who comes in from a science or that kind of a discipline, right? But even if you don't, you still have to recognize that in order to do this the way that you need to do it, the way that you need to apply it now, as opposed to what was happening, when we started, because we started back in the mid 90s, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So
right.
it was funny because I was talking to, I wrote a note to a sister today, and she's doing her thing up in Buffalo. And she's got like a group up in Buffalo that she's doing. And I was writing her and telling her that, that I've stepped away from the preparedness realm in the sense, because I know that the preparedness as it's practiced, the basic standard operation preparedness, it just isn't enough to deal with what we're dealing with and what we're going to be dealing with even sometime later in this year, right? And you know that. Now, because you were behind the scenes, you knew what we used to do. I mean, when we did it unfiltered before 9/11, and then we were arrested if we tried to do the same kinds of stuff now, So the thing is, not that we were doing anything bad.
Right.
We were doing all good things. But the fact is that there is a certain amount of, that there was a certain amount of censorship that came after 9/11 that did not allow us to do what we did in the early 90s, And so this is kind of a throwback to what we were doing in the early 90s and even in the late 80s when we really, really got started, right? And, so this workshop is the beginning of a series that I'm going to be conducting over the summer. But this is like the first one, right? The first of the series. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to get as many people to come into this as possible to train at this workshop and then to continue to train at the future workshops so that when we hit September, which is National Disaster Preparedness Month, we have a certain amount of people that we have that can go out into the communities and then teach these people the very same discipline, right? Rome wasn't built in a day, but there's a lot that we can do over the course of multiple classes. And so when you come into this class on Saturday, right, 1 to 5 p.m. EST, then you're going to get the fundamentals, but just recognizing, this, Simon, and you know how deep this can go, the fundamentals of improvisational adaptation, the fundamentals, right?
The fundamentals.
Rome wasn't built in a day. It wasn't. It's funny. I'm looking at your shirt.
That's why I wanted to wear the shirt. That's why I wore it.
I'm glad you wore that shirt because I want the brothers and sisters who are watching this to recognize something too, that what I'm doing and what Simon and I, what we did in IPN, all of us, when we were working and doing this, and we were hitting the streets and going into Harlem and doing our 25-mile evacuation walks and doing all this stuff, recognize where this is rooted in. And I can tell you straight on that the let's say the cocoon, or where this was born, it was born through the efforts of the original Black Panther Party and the Nation of Islam. And I can tell you that I was set out on this path after I was given a book by my dear late Uncle Johnny, who was in the FOI, and it was a book called The Fall of America. And for those of you who have actually read the book, The Fall of America, it mentions in one of the chapters how that every Black man and woman should carry with them at all times a survival kit, because they don't know when certain things are going to happen, where they're going to be, and they have to be able to respond to it instantly, right? So that's why when I see that picture of Elijah, it's almost like he's sitting in on us. This is what the Honorable Elijah told us to do. This is what Huey P. Newton told us to do. This is what Bobby Seale told us what to do. this is what Elaine Brown, this is what everyone in the BPP, what everyone stood for, which is self-reliance. So we know that, you and I know that, and we know that that basic preparedness isn't going to do it.
I still have the list that the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad gave some of the elders. One of the elders, Brother Ramsey, you remember Brother Ramsey who made the rings? He always used to carry his little kit, just like I still carry my little kit or around my waist or whatever. And you carry just enough to be able to deal with what is happening in that environment at that time. And that was the principle that, although we didn't know in the Nation of Islam, that was the basic principle of IATO, which was developed over the years. But improvisation, adaptation means you must learn the terrain. And it's not how much you know you start buying so much, it's how much you know and how are you able to adapt to the terrain that you are presented in front. So even if when I'm in Georgia or in New York, I know exactly the terrain where I'm at, or in Canada, I know exactly that. I don't have to carry much, but I know exactly what to do. And sometimes even on the buses when I'm traveling, I already creating scenarios on what I would do to get out of the bus and what I would have to do. And would I be able to make it out of a bus or a bus accident or a bus crash or a bus? All of these are scenarios that usually run through my head as I got on the bus to get comfortable. And then I'll settle in and just relax and feel out anything. But all of that, because we used to teach about back in the day, we taught about fear and how important it is to harness fear to make it become helpful to us and not be a hindrance to us back in the day.
Right. That's right.
As you remember.
Absolutely. And the thing is that we have to effectively learn how to deal with things when they happen instantly.
Yeah.
And unfortunately that the old tenets of preparedness were static, right? And this is basically not static. This is fluid. In fact, you can think of this as almost like the Jeet Kune Do of what you consider preparedness to be. For those of you who aren't familiar with that, Jeet Kune Do is the art that Bruce Lee learned or started. He created that, right? He created this to flow with all of the other arts that he studied, like Wing Chun Kung Fu and all the different other styles of Kung Fu. But he created Jeet Kune Do because he knew that there was a system that was needed that could, as he described, be like water when you get into a situation. So this is very much like what Bruce Lee taught, to be like water in a catastrophe, as opposed to being static. Here it comes. I'm going for my pit. Where's my go bag? That doesn't work anymore. It never did, really, but it served its purpose for the moment. Right. Because as you fully well know, Simon, there was no way that I could talk about a lot of these things, even when, as you know, that we were talking about, I was talking about with you about the World Trade Center. We were talking about the World Trade Center being destroyed years before, right?
Years ago. That's right.
Is it not the truth?
That's the truth. Absolute truth. Yeah, of course.
We were talking, you and Brother Tony, we used to set up. Everybody, and
Professor Bill, he's still looking for you. Professor Bill,
exactly. Yeah, we used to go like, this is going to happen, and this is how it's going to happen, and this is what we have to prepare for, right? And at the time, and I tell people when we were doing this back in those days, it was like people are like, man, y'all are crazy. What is that? I mean, there were people that believed us, but then there were the detractors who were more like, this is too extreme. So. And I could have the conversations with you because you understood and the others understood because they were in the group. But I couldn't do this in public because it was too far. But now, guess what? I can say, listen, I can do any damn thing that I want to do because everybody can see it now. It's different before it happens. But now that it's happening, people can recognize the urgency of the situation. So I did this thing on the 29th. I wasn't even going to do this that early. I started before I was going to start. And here's what happened. I realized that a number of different things that are going on that I really can't wait to get this product. And Simon, because we both laugh about the amount of time it took me to get. I got to do the book. I got to do this. I got to do that. And you never get the right time to start. You never get the right time. And as it stands right now, our people, and I don't know how to drive this point home any more than by saying we're in dire straits as a people. We're in dire straits as a community. the Black community, the Afro-descendant community, not just the ones in the United States, but the ones around the world, because so many of us don't have what we need to deal with these calamities that they're actually in the progress of happening, a lot of them now. So many of us don't really know what's happening. They don't know what to do. And we live in areas, they call them sacrifice zones, a lot of us. We live in the coastline, in the areas that flood, in the areas that are near dangerous manufacturing plants that have, toxic materials. We're in the path of the railroad trains that carry the most noxious and dangerous stuff. So a lot of our people are at a high degree of risk, and we don't have the resources to do what we need to do for ourselves, right? Now, that's the situation. And we also have the federal government that, quite frankly, even if their intent was great to do what they wanted to do, they don't have the resources, they don't have the personnel, and a lot of them don't have the training. And there's just too many people to deal with. It's too many, Simon, right?
Yep.
So what are we left with? So I just said, let me just do these courses and let me start. And also, just to mention this, so when people get tickets for this, is also, we have a problem with homelessness or people who are unhoused. We have a problem with, the migrant situation in New York City, in Chicago, in Los Angeles, in San Diego, in Boston, all over the United States right now is exploding. It's not going to diminish, it's going to grow, right? So that's another thing. A lot of times with our people, Simon, we think that, it'll get better and it'll get better. And no, it's not going to get better. It's not. In fact, it's going to get progressively worse. Now, the question is, can you avoid a lot of the things that are going to happen? Yes. As they get worse, can you maintain homeostasis within your own living environment? Truth is, yes, you can. But you can't live in denial, and you have to recognize the reality. So one of the things about these sessions and the next ones, so when people buy the tickets, I have a program called Ikaya Eco, which Ikaya in Zulu means safe home. Ikaya. Now, initially, I started Ikaya Eco way back in like 2009 or so, and then I did a thing at the Lincoln Center for Women of the World with a wonderful architect by the name of Tina Hovsepian. And she was doing emergency shelters that were made out of cardboard that you could use in disasters. And I looked at what she did, and I thought to myself, now, from an engineering standpoint, I'm not an architect, right? So she's an architect. I'm looking at it as an engineer, like what can be done to really, really make these things work? So I came up with some ideas, and then I went to my son, Amen, who's now big, grown monster boy, and taller than me and big, big, strong dude. But he's also, computer scientist and doing his engineering thing. And I said, you need to do this project with me. He says, let's work together, Dad. Let's make something for people that they can live in, micro shelters that they can live in, that are made 100% sustainable materials, right? So these things are made from basic plastic bottles and rubbish that's recycled. So we came up with some designs, and we're going to roll them out in September. So that's helping that, because we need to help house. We have our homeless Americans. I mean, you have all these folks coming into the United States right now, but we have these homeless folk, most of them Black, right? Straight out. Most of the people who are unhoused on the street, they're Black folk, right? Black Americans, veterans, families sometimes just living in the worst conditions. You see them all over the streets in New York and Chicago and Los Angeles, and they're living in these ramshackle half tents, or if they're not living in tents, they're sleeping on cardboard boxes. And that's got to end. It's a damn disgrace that the United States allows this to occur. And then, of course, you have the migrant situation, which is going to continually get progressively worse. There's really nothing that you can do about it. The same thing is happening over in Europe. The same thing is happening all over the world, except in some closed countries that don't allow people through their borders. So this is going to help the Ikaya Eco program. It's going to help you. It's going to give you the skills and information, the real skills and information that you're going to need to survive the next, I'm not even going to say the next few years, because there's a bunch of things coming, Simon. A bunch of paradigm shifting things that are going to be happening this year in 2024 that people really need to start preparing now. So this is what this class, and so I urge you to go to the website, afroprepnow.com, right? Afroprepnow.com, and you can go and you can purchase a ticket. And that ticket you get when you purchase a ticket through the website, then you become a member of IPN. You become a member of IPN for 1 year, and you will get all the information that you need. You'll get advanced information about emergencies and calamities that you wouldn't normally get. You can't get it on the news. You're not going to get it in any other place. As you know, that I am part and connected to a number of different entities and people that are well placed within the governmental mechanisms that freely share the information because they recognize that that they know what the work is and they know what we do. And as some of you may have seen me before on MSNBC or Today Show and all that other kinds of stuff. But again, there's really no way to talk about these things in legacy media because legacy media works through a rating system. Legacy media doesn't want to frighten people. And I don't want to frighten people. I want to inform people and prepare people. But I got to speak truth to people, Simon. And that's what we're going to do in this workshop. It's 4 hours long. We'll have lots of questions and answers. But when you come in and when you leave, you'll be a different person. One thing I can guarantee, when you leave this workshop, you will be different than you were when you came in because you will be equipped with the information, the knowledge, and you will be learning the skill sets that you're going to need to get through any different crisis. The only crisis that I cannot prepare for is an extraterrestrial invasion.
Okay.
I don't know what to do. Maybe your boy Billy Carson, he might know what to do. I don't know what to do for the extraterrestrials. Say, hey, what's up, y'all? You know, I'm here in peace. That's about it. But in terms of everything else, we got it all covered.
Well, hold on. Family, just want to remind everybody, the website is pinned at the top of the chat. If you want to go and click on the link, you will definitely see this particular page. As soon as you go in, you're going to see it's a beautiful website because as soon as you go in, this is what you see. Man, half a face, half a sun on fire. Afro Prep Now. Special upcoming event Saturday, June the 29th. 2024 from 1 to 5 p.m. Very, 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 very. And, you know, people, I deal with the numbers. And when you're doing something on the 29th, it's one of those numbers that is there to open you up, not just physically, but also spiritually. So whatever Aton speaks about on this website, please take it not only physically, but also spiritually, because if you are not spiritually prepared to handle it, you will not be physically prepared to handle it. Especially stuff that's going, that's
understand? Absolutely the truth, and it's funny because a lot of people, and we know this, and because I can talk to you, Simon's like my brother, he's like he said, brother from another mother. Exactly. And, people, when we would do the workshops and maybe they would see me as being a little bit too, I don't know, like scientific and they think that I don't have any spirituality, but I do. Right, it's expressed in the way you have the geometry of life behind you, right?
Yes, right,
and
flower of life, right?
The flower of life. So effectively, my position is that I believe in a higher force. I believe in a higher power. I just basically relate to it in more of a mathematical and physics way, in terms of in dealing with the forces that be the forces of nature. And recognizing this truth, and that's the vibrational aspect of this, right? And and I see Kendall had mentioned that we have someone who's come into the fold, the inner fold, Simon. And I saw her name pop up. Her name is Jessica Dewberry.
That's right. That's true.
And so Jessica, I'm just speaking to you, Jessica. You don't have to be afraid of anything now because you're going to get everything that you need. In fact, the thing that you would fear would be your friends and family and other people that you can inform so that they can do what they need to do for themselves. But you don't have anything to fear because basically the knowledge is the pathway to freedom. The knowledge is the pathway to stability. The knowledge is the pathway to saving yourself. So don't be fearful because you took the step. And I encourage all of you out there that if you have any fears and anxieties about what is to come, that join us for this workshop on the 29th, because you're going to learn the things. This is not like we're not talking. We're obviously, we mentioned go bags and things like that. We're going to talk about it a little bit, but that's not the crux of what IA is. This is, right. You can consider this, as Simon knows this, you can consider this to be a sort of a martial art. If there was a martial arts of science, that's what IA is. This is the MMA of like, you could say, preparedness. It's like mixed martial arts is just taking different martial arts and combining them into one. Right? Mm-hmm. Here's jujitsu, here's a little Shotokan, here's a little Kung Fu, here's a little, all these different arts that you put together. And what IA is, it is a multidisciplinary science that, depending on what you bring to it, if you bring to it, if you're already an engineer, if you're already a doctor, great, then you have this scientific skill. But if you don't, you're going to learn some of the skills that you need to not just deal with the disasters, but live within them and survive. And in some cases, people can thrive depending on how much they want to put into it. And the one thing, Simon, I want to get out, and you know this, is that people got to work, though, right? Mm-hmm. If they're not willing to work, there's no point. It's just not going to come easy. Nothing comes easy and nothing comes simply. And I don't want to, like Simon, just when we used to do the walks, right? Remember?
That's right.
I mean, you never got tired, but
no, because we had it like a social gathering, and we was walking all together and doing what we had to do to get where we had to go. You know, so and so that 8 hours was really some easy. As a matter of fact, I was just looking at a few of the clips of when we finished the walk. I was looking at. I still have the clips right here. So I Googled it on Facebook, and it's on Facebook with us completing the walk. Oh, you ain't gonna see that with Tito and Margaret there, and
I remember that.
Yeah, all of us was there. And so it was a beautiful display of a lot of, like, a good 15 of us walking out of the city, taking the route that Aton showed us to do this route. And that's what, and every place that you live, family, has some type of route to get in and get out of whatever hot zone that you may be in. And it's just, are you willing to train your body to be able to endure that? Because it's really, you still have to, we had this whole, what was the max training we had before? What were we
Max 3?
Yeah, max training. We used to have that whole max 3 training, and I'm still working out, still trained, or walking, even if it's just walking, not really necessarily running and exerting yourself, but being able to walk at a moderate pace without exerting yourself, but also being able to take in the breath and breathe, inhale, exhale. Everything is working. It's physical, spiritual, and mental. Everything works together. That's why I'm not really worried about too much, because yes, we're all going to die one day. But this is just to lessen the impact, just in case you do want to survive. You're doing something. You're just lessening the impact. This is what we used to teach in the classes, when Brother Rudy used to come up, and when everybody else used to come and do it with us back at the Marcus Garvey Center and Temptations and all these different places. I used to bring these different lectures to the nightclubs that I live. And I gave out flyers at the nightclub. And sometimes I had to go to the club that night and give out flyers for events. Because I'm not about preaching to the choir. I want to go to people one person might come out of that one club, one person, but at least I got to that one person. And, wherever I'm going, what I'm saying? We used to go on the trains and give out flyers. I used to go all over the place to give out flyers just to get to people about this disaster preparedness, but again, reactionaries and proactive people, there's a difference. And that's where the problem is.
The reactionaries, I think that those, Simon, we're not in that place anymore. Whereas we had to sell this to people. You should do this. Right. You should do this. You should do this. I don't have the time to do it. Neither do you. Right.
No.
And if you can't see what's going on, if you can't look with your two eyes and look at the news, you see it every morning when you wake up. You can't miss it in the headlines of the newspapers. You can't miss it on your news feed. You can't miss it on Instagram. Right. When you see what's happening in Gaza, when you see what's happening in the Ukraine, when you see what's happening in the Congo, when you see what's happening in Sudan, when you see what's happening in Yemen, when you see what's happening in Syria, when you see what's happening all over the world, right? you can see, well, these are just the problems that we've created. Some of the problems you don't see, like one of the big problems is that we have the melting ice in the Arctic. And one of the things that scientists fear the most right now is the fact that that the melting ice and the melting permafrost may release things called factor X viruses. These are unknown viruses that people have no immunity to, that may have been frozen in the Arctic for hundreds of years and maybe even thousands of years. And because the Arctic ice is melting because of global warming, these viruses are being re-released back into the human population, and they're transferred by animals. Bears will get infected, deer will get infected, small animals get infected, birds will fly around with it, and eventually these things will cross into the human population. And as you see that, you've seen the bird flu, the bird flu that's been spreading in. I'm looking at the video. I see. There's Margaret. Yeah, there.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah, you remember that?
I remember that. We went the bridge when we finished, right?
Exactly. Yes.
And we had a senior with us. We had somebody who was in about 80 something that finished.
I think she was like 70 something. Yeah, going on almost 80. Remember, all these people was with us back. And Blue Pill was with us. That was Blue Pill.
That's right. Yeah.
Right. Blue Pill was with us. Yeah, that was back in the day. Big up to Blue Pill. He's doing his thing as usual. We all live in Georgia now. Myself, Blue Pill, Red Pill.
You're good to live it. You're good to be living there. And,
we getting our weapons together, and you know what we do.
Well, you got to do what you have to do to survive, and you know we have to do it in stages. And so, like this thing, going back to the factor X, so we have to prepare for another pandemic, and they're not. Again, you're getting a lot of bad information on the internet. That's another thing. And filtering through the bad information, and because with an IPN, we have medical doctors, we have like really top-notch people that are in our fold, that they give us information that we can share with you. So, like for instance, we knew that there was going to be a pandemic. We were talking about pandemics. How long ago, Simon? I mean,
since the 90s, actually. It's in the book. It's in your book.
The pivotal moment was in 1995. And I took Fatin Muhammad. Fatin Muhammad is the producer of the Open Line radio show. And I took Fatin Muhammad to Rockefeller University for a lecture from health professionals with the Society of Risk Analysis. And I introduced Fatin to a guy, his name was Dr. Joshua Lederberg, who had won a Nobel Prize for molecular biology. And Dr. Lederberg laid out to Fatin and laid out to the audience, we're going to get a pandemic. It's going to happen in such and such a time. It's going to kill X amount of people. And this is what we need to start doing. And of course, nobody did it, right? So if you think that COVID was bad, COVID was the intro, but that's not the real bad pandemic. We're going to have another one, and it can happen soon. And the problem is that we don't have a society that's prepared for that. Now, when you take these classes will help to prepare you so you can prepare your home, prepare your family. It'll tell you everything that you need to know as to how you get through these kinds of emergencies. And something else I wanted to talk about, which is AI. We're living in an entirely different, the reverse of AI. And as Black folk, we need to recognize we have this extremely paradigm shifting technology. I don't know even how to describe this other than to say this. AI is far more significant to humanity in terms of what it's going to do to humanity than even the invention and the creation of the atom bomb, right? I would go as far as to say that AI is probably one of the most potentially dangerous things that humans have ever created, but it's also one of the most paradigm shifting things. It shifts the paradigm as much as when humans invented the wheel. And we as a people, we're not interfacing in that world at all. We are out of the stream of information that we need so that we can navigate our way through this future with this new technology that I can tell you can become in a certain way sentient, not like us, but in a way where it does the Descartes test, which is the I am. I think, therefore I am. Descartes was a French mathematician who came up with this postulation many years ago. I think, therefore I am. It's not human intelligence like us, but it is still an intelligence nevertheless. And we're going to have to be living with this intelligence, and we're going to have to be living with this AI, and we're going to have to start doing things to actually to sustain ourselves in a world that is moving further away from us in ways that we don't even see. So one of the things that I can do within these workshops is to help people get this information and to help guide them through this brave new world that we're already in. As Simon is scrolling across the screen, he's looking at some of the things that we're going to be dealing with. There's a picture of the migrants and the migration, the mass migration that we're going to see into the United States. By the way, it's not going to stop. And you see how you see the streets and the website. We're going to see that in our cities, and there's no way to get around it. That's the whole fires in Hawaii, the forest fires, and the wildfires that we have all over the country because of the extreme drought that dries up the plants, that provides the fires with fuel, water shortages, as we're already beginning to see. We're all going to see cyber terror, the flooding, all of these things that are happening now, and they're going to get progressively worse over the years. And our community isn't prepared. I just did a FEMA thing. And Kendall was with me and she watched it, and it was like a joke. They didn't even have their it couldn't even run as smooth as what we're doing. They have $1 billion budget, Simon, and they couldn't even stage a proper webinar, right?
Wow.
So if they can't do that, what do you think they're going to do when the disasters come? What do you think they're going to do for the next Katrina? What do you think they're going to do for the next bird flu? So this class prepares you for what you need to know. And it puts you on the road that you follow down. And by the September, we're going to have, I don't know how many people that we're going to have by the end of September, but we're definitely going to have a cadre of folk that are going to be able to get out into the community and do what is necessary to train us and to get us ready. And I think that geometrically, there's a way to kind of do this, and we can get it to go nationally in terms of it's spread all over the place. We got people from, I think maybe for this class so far, from about maybe 5 states, right? So 5 or 6 states. I know we got California, we got Chicago, we got North Carolina, we got Atlanta, where you are, we got Florida, and New York. So yeah, the idea is to get this in 50 states as quickly as possible. And of course, in Puerto Rico, the Dominican Republic, Haiti, everywhere there are Black folks in the diaspora, we need to get them prepared. So
now, let me ask, Aton. Back in the day, we used to speak about some of the possible places that might be the safest place to be. Do we still recommend any safer spots above sea level areas? What do you say now? Because I know things are constantly changing over the years since we was doing it in the 90s, 2000. What do you say now to different places that might be safe for people? What do you think?
Well, if you're going to talk about safety in terms of where you should be,
right?
In terms of as it stands now, and again, it's a tricky question to answer. So let's just say that as it stands right now, really the North is the place to be, right? Mm-hmm. I know you're down in the South, right, but the North is the place to be. And it has a lot to do with the fact that as we continue on with the global warming, a lot of the states in the South and the Southwest, fairly soon, the temperatures that you're going to get in the summer times, they aren't really going to be livable. A lot of what's happening that is happening even right now in terms of the climate crisis is happening a lot faster than climate scientists initially believed it to be. They thought that a lot of things that are happening now wouldn't happen for another 60, 70, 80 years. Like, for instance, there's a glacier they call the Doomsday Glacier. It's called the Thwaites Glacier. That is huge. It's huge, like the size of Florida almost. And it's breaking off, right? They didn't expect that to happen for maybe 60 more years, and it's happening now. And when it does break off, it's going to change sea levels. It's going to do all kinds of things. So we're having an accelerated process of heating. So being in the South, there's a lot of things that are great about the South because it doesn't require heating in the wintertime as much and all that. But there's a lot of things that are bad about the South relevant to the heat waves. Also, transmissible diseases, like because the summer months have been extended, the migratory patterns of animals and insects, what they're changing. So we're going to start to see malaria, as we already are in states like Florida and southern states like Georgia, the Carolinas, Louisiana, Texas, and places like that. You're going to see diseases like Zika. You're going to start to see breakbone fever, right? Which is dengue, which is a very, very painful fever that people can get. And you see you scrolling up the soundtrack. Yeah, Chuck D and Daddy O on standby. We're doing a docuseries for this. So you're going to see these things happen in the South. And you're also, the South is a great place in terms of for solar stuff. And you can, if you live near, if you're a homeowner and you have a well and you can drill a well and you live near an aquifer that isn't tainted, the South is great. But generally speaking, really the North is going to be the place to be, simply because it's underpopulated. It doesn't have the tax base to support a lot of stuff that you get in the South. But in terms of what you can do in the North, in terms of building a homestead, like let's say within the next 10 years, if we get that, that's where I would want to be. It used to be in a certain place near Florida, but it's not. And now it's really moving north. Like for instance, one of the creators of AI, right? He's bought a tremendous amount of land, and I believe in Montana, right? And he did it because he said, I wanted to do this. And this is the guy, one of the people, the creators of Chat GPT. And he did this because he wanted to move in an area that doesn't near any populations, but also because it's untainted aquifers, that he can drill a well, that he can basically grow his own food and live there for long periods of time and not be hit as hard by the global warming. And if you don't think that global warming is going to hit the South that hard, just consider what it did for Alaska last year, where you had temperatures in the 90s in Alaska. So imagine what's going to happen in 10 years in the South in 2034. And if you consider just how quickly that global warming is progressing right now, then you can see that a lot of places aren't going to be livable. You can see that happening in India already, where you have air temperatures of ambient air temperatures of 122 degrees, 124 degrees. Death Valley, and again, we're not even in the middle of the summer. You're going to see temperatures in Arizona probably peaking close to 120 degrees this year, taxing the grid. You're going to see peak temperatures in Death Valley probably hitting 125, 127 degrees. That's where we're headed. So again, the North is, in a short explanation, that's the North is really, now granted, and not to get too grim about it, if there's a nuclear exchange, which there very well could be, then you'd have a phenomenon called nuclear winter, and the North would become like the Ice Age. Or if there was another eruption, one of the things that nobody ever talks about, and I say ever, and I've tried to bring this up in legacy media, but nobody wants to talk about it. It's a thing called GGs, which are global geophysical events. And what those are these grand volcanic eruptions, super quakes, things that happen usually every 10,000, 100, 200,000 years, right? Like for instance, in the United States, in Yellowstone Park, there's a caldera. There's this big, huge pocket of lava that could produce a thing called a supervolcano. If there was an eruption of a supervolcano in Yellowstone, it would pretty much decimate one half of the United States. It would just be covered in ash like Pompeii. Right. That's a global geophysical event. So we've had them before, smaller scale ones, like there was the eruption of two volcanoes in Indonesia. One was called Krakatoa and one was called Tambora. Tambora came in the early 1800s and Krakatoa came at the end of the 1800s. Both of the volcanoes, when they erupted, they spewed so much ash into the atmosphere that effectively they changed the world temperature. So that could help with global warming. We might have that. So, you know,
so let me ask again, people that are just tuning in, if you want to chime in and be a part of the workshop, please go to afroprepnow.com. That's afroprepnow.com. The website is pinned at the top of the chat right here, and it's also in the description of this video. We're not going to keep our brother here too long, but I wanted to ask, to the people that, like persons like Joe Dispenza and people that deal with a lot of the spiritual metaphysics stuff, that believe that we as a whole can avert a lot of these things going on. What do you say to that, Aton? Because people believe where there's a physics, there's a metaphysics to all of this too. So, and we've been saved a few times in these paradigms over the years. That's why we're still here. Like you can listen to the Matrix movie, and he said we're still here when all the robots are attacking. Lawrence Fishburne get up there and still give that speech that we're still here. We're still here. Obviously there is, our old saying in the disaster preparedness community is pray, hope. Prepare for the worst, but hope for the best. So what do you say about those people that understand that there are people on this world that have been meditating and doing all kind of spiritual work to avert a lot of this stuff, even elders of Kenya, elders of Tibet and all that kind of stuff. And it kind of have been working over the years with peer-reviewed science saying that it can work. What do you say to that?
I say to keep praying. But at the same time, that also to recognize that it can help, it doesn't hurt, but that this is what you can say that it's a runaway train. Like you can look at it like this, is that people that are on board that runaway train can pray, and maybe some of the people who are on the runaway train survive the crash when the train hits whatever it hits. But it's still a runaway train. It's not to say that a lot of these things we can't stop, but there's a lot of the stuff that we could change very fast if we all work together to do it.
And a lot of us cause this issue. A lot of us cause this. A lot of people and higher ups cause this issue that's going on, the global warming and all the madness.
Of course it did. Commerce causes it, right? I mean, and generally speaking, and I question people even within the spiritual community is to recognize it's like, when you have the kind of thing that's going on in Gaza, where you have little children being incinerated by American bombs, right? And we're not going to discount what happened in October the 7th and dismiss the awful things that, Hamas did to those people in the kibbutz and the people at the thing. That's just is horrible.
Right.
But at the same time, what Israel is doing to the Palestinians, the innocent Palestinians, and many who don't have anything to do with Hamas at all, and keeping in mind that Hamas itself, the only reason Hamas has that power is because the leader of Israel, Bibi Netanyahu, he intentionally placed Hamas in that position to seize control, to take power in that region, because he did not want the Oslo Accords, where there would be a two-state solution. He didn't want that to happen. He wanted basically Hamas to be there because he knew that Hamas was an extremist group that nobody would work with, and that would give them leverage to take over the rest of Gaza and the rest of Israel, the settlers and everything else. So Hamas is there because Bibi Netanyahu wanted them there. But the fact of the matter is, when you see these babies being murdered, the other day I saw a video, I didn't want to talk about it. And then you see what's happening in the Congo, right? Where you see our children, African children, digging for cobalt in mines, 5 years old, digging for cobalt, little babies digging for cobalt with their fingers and their fingernails turning blue to get pennies so that we can play video games and get on these computers. Not a thought is given by most of us. And I'm talking about most of us within the Black community, about our brothers and sisters suffering in the Congo. Most of us don't even care. Only thing we care about is the latest fashion, celebrity gossip, and the usual foolishness. And the same thing that's going on in Sudan right now, that our people are dying en masse. And so when I think about prayer, I think about this. What do we deserve as a species? Really? Do we deserve? You know, a lot of us, we go and pray for forgiveness in the church on Sundays. But if you're not doing anything to empower and to build the betterment of your fellow human, if you're not doing anything to help people in need, then do you really deserve? Does the universe think that you deserve to be saved and protected? That's a question for spiritual people as well. So it goes both ways in that respect. So I'm saying that, yeah, I think that prayer and all of that and meditation is great, but this is a runaway train that we're on. And it's either you want to wear a seatbelt, put on a seatbelt, you want to protect yourself, or you just want to let things happen and see what happens when the train crashes into the wall. And that's basically it.
Brace yourself. Brace yourself.
Well, bracing, or you're bracing yourself is doing IA, is learning how to do it. That's bracing yourself. Then take your chances. Pray and brace yourself. Don't just
because as you know, as we know that every culture had some type of preparedness mindset and has some preparedness protocols in case something happened, like a flood or whatever, but a lot of people don't believe that we did have that, when preparedness can be as simple as brushing your teeth in the morning. You're preparing yourself to go to work, preparing yourself to get dressed and wash your ass, and because you don't want to bring the stench to work or to things, so you have to prepare. Because hygiene is very important in this preparedness thing, and the way what you have to carry with you if you have any medical conditions is also important. So if you're not willing to learn to adapt and improvise and study the nuances of it, so you can get by where you don't have to carry but so much, you can keep it simple. Keep it simple, stupid. That's what, I always say on that. Keep it simple, stupid, where you need to breathe and you need water. You might just need a filtration system and a good life straw, or a couple of good life straw to move forward, to get to where you got to go to get the water and get whatever you need, or learning how to extract it like Moses West, how to extract it from the air. Big up to him. I can contribute to his thing there too. So showing him no, hey, he's doing a Nobel Peace Prize thing, and they're not even giving him the Nobel Peace Prize for something that he did.
They're not. The system is broken, and it's up to you. Like what Marcus Garvey said, you got to do for self. And this is what we're all about. We're about doing for self. We're about getting what needs to get done. Doing for self. That's why we designed the Kaya Eco thing and making these shelters. I'm really looking forward for Men and I to roll this out this fall, because it gives people options, and people need as many options as possible right now. Because again, I just want to stress this, Simon. Yeah, we're not living in 1995. This is in 2001. This is a completely different paradigm. We've crossed into not only like it's almost like you could do a Venn diagram of where we're at in terms of like, if you were to say, I'm at the center of the Venn diagram, and then you have a number of different scenarios surrounding the Venn diagram, like the movie Mad Max, the movie The Matrix, right? In all of these different situations, a massive solar flare, massive earthquakes, war, nuclear war, pandemic, all of these different things. And then over all of that, then you have AI, right?
Yeah.
This is a time that we have never experienced in the history of humanity. And I can tell you that a lot of us within like space science, we call this, a lot of us call it the great filter. I don't know if the species itself is going to make it out of the great filter, but if we are going to do it, then you got to have these skills. Right? If you have a family, you have children, if the people that you love, come to the class. Because not only will you be able to deal with yourself, and also I want to say this, and Simon, you know that this was true when we did the network. The idea was to go out and train people. We have a bunch of people that train with us, so many of them. And what did they do, Simon?
Disappear, never did anything, didn't want to put in the work. A lot of people just
No, I'm talking about the ones that trained a lot, trained them well, and what was the idea was to go back into the community and
Community, and a lot of them didn't want to do it.
they didn't want to do it.
I was doing it, but I got to big up to people like Paul Ortiz, and of course Brother Ron at one time, Brother Ron, and of course Brother D's, also. You know, few people. You know, few people tried, but it wasn't as much as you've taught throughout the years. And if the people that you taught throughout the years that went out and gun ho and did it, it probably would have in different places, like how the nation set up different temples in different states. That probably would have been. It could have been some really good IPN all over the world. You know, from if people would have just went out.
But if they didn't want to listen, I remember going to Reverend Sharpton about this, and you remember that because you were around.
Yeah.
And
Tony Brown too.
Tony Brown. Oh yeah, all of them.
Yeah.
But I remember distinctly because Reverend Sharpton was really the only person in terms of who had that kind of popularity in terms of people knowing who he was. He was the only person when I gave that report that I think you're one of the few people that still have the report from '97 that I had done, right?
Yeah.
And Reverend Sharpton acted immediately and said, "Get up on that stage and start talking about this," right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But generally, the community wasn't proactive, and so you have people now who've come into it. But the arc of this was so long that coming in now is great, but the problem is there's very little time to get the information that you need. So these classes are like the crash course of everything, the culmination of everything that I've learned over the past 30 years of doing this, right? And of course, AfroPref now, the book has it, right? Yeah. That's why it took so long. I had to write 50,000 different revisions and change, well, because, it was so apocalyptic that it had to be dialed down. It's the kind of thing where I had to kind of pull it back a little bit. Too many
His name is Aton's name is Thanos Doom.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Dr. Thanos Doom. That's how apocalyptic that book could be.
Yeah, it was like definitely. And so, I changed it up. I didn't take out any of the good information, but I changed it up to make it a little bit more palatable to the masses. But effectively, the program that you're going to get is the program that's drawn from that book and a lot of other things, right?
When is the book going to release?
As soon as possible, very soon. It'll be this year, but it's just like it's up to the publisher. Really.
Man, you might as well self-publish yourself, man, and keep it moving.
Well, the thing about it is that I'm still going to do the doc, which is the docuseries, which now I'm free to do that, right? And we got Chuck D and Daddy-O that are going to be doing the music, which is great. Having the Public Enemy founder, him and
Daddy-O from Stetsasonic.
Yeah. Kind of the appropriate people that would be doing music for something like this. And of course, Davina, I want to take, because Davina is going to also do some music for this too, right? For those of you who remember, Davina is like one of the people who ushered in what was it called? The soul, neo soul artists, right? And some other artists that are going to contribute to it.
I'm going to have to there's going to be a nuclear war in reggae.
Listen, I've been begging you to do that. How long have Amen knows how to play the guitar.
Oh, yeah? Oh, yeah, that's right.
He can play the guitar like a rock dude, man. So there's really no excuse. The next time you go up to New York, Simon, I kid you not, you got to record the song.
And my son got a recording studio, so that's good.
Simon, you got to record it. We even going to tell you what that is. Simon had a funny joke years ago, and he said a particular type of reggae song about nuclear war. And I thought it was a good idea back then, but I think it's a really good idea now. I think it would be really funny, and I think people would really get a kick out of it, especially with you doing this, the Numerator coming out with that kind of a thing, right? And it would be appropriate, dude. Do it. There's no excuse. The musicians are there. What are you waiting for?
No, right?
You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, I'm down.
Oh my gosh. All I can see you be a background singer.
No, I would just be standing there. You know what I would be? Like you say, I would be like Doom. I'd be standing there like Thanos, just doing the and doing the Thanos smile. You know this.
The overdub.
Like the Thanos smile. Yes, that one, right? And then you'd have me in a hood, something like that. That would be funny.
Oh, no.
But I mean, so
Yeah.
you know, in summation, we got to just look. For those of you out there who really want to get prepared, who really, really want to do this the right way, not the old way, right? Because the old way, the things of the old ways are great, but it's just not going to work. There are too many different threats. They're too big, too many different variables, too much happening at once. You can't go by the old ways. The old ways don't work. Even what you said before about where do you go? And it's like, you know what? I did this on National Geographic. When I did this special in 2009, it was called 6 Degrees. And I can remember talking to the producers. You'd have to go back and look at it. Basically, I did a special with National Geographic in 2009. It was about what's going to happen if the Earth temperature changes by a certain gradation. So it's 6 degrees and what that would do. So I was doing a segment on preparedness and everything. And I remember telling one of the producers of the show, people can't really hunker down anymore in one spot unless you can hunker down, right? That's where the big bunker thing comes from now. The rich people are building bunkers, you know?
Yeah.
They just don't do it in the right way. Even the rich people. I had a billionaire, a literal billionaire. I went up into his office. It was like going in something out of the Wolf of Wall Street. It was funny as hell. Every woman who worked, every person that he had working in the office, they looked like they were coming right off of the stripper pole, right? It was just crazy, you know. And the dude had an office with a ticker and just computers with the ticker. It was like going into Gordon Gekko's office in Wall Street. Unfreaking believable. And I remember him talking to me about, what do I need to do, blah, blah, blah. And he was talking about, you know, building the bunkers and all this kinds of stuff. And it's true, but it's not. Because like hunkering down in a spot, if you are underground and you have all of the necessities you need and you can do, it's one thing. But in a lot of cases, survival in the future is going to be just as important to be mobile as it is to have, you know, a place that you can crash, you know? Mm-hmm. So it's a mix. And that's why IA is so good, because IA gives you that kind of flexibility to do the things that you can mix it up, right? And, you know, like what I'm going to do and what my plans are and how I would deal with said emergency and people that know what to do. How do we do it? And it is never, ever just like, I'm going to go right here and I'm going to stick my stuff down here and this is where I'm going to live. It's never that simple. It's like, I have this path, and I have this. This is the one I'm going to choose now, but I also have 2 others that I can choose if that happens. That's what you learn with IA. See? So people coming to do that is what you come to the class for.
Yeah, being fluid. That's what your IA teaches, to be fluid, like you said, be water.
Be like water. Be like water, like Bruce Lee said. Right. So that's, you know, basically, that's where we are at, Simon. So I'm just asking you folks, join us. Come to the class. Join, and then when you come to the class and you're part of IPN, and then you get the information. So, like, for instance, let me ask you this. Is it important to you when there is a terrorist attack? And this is something that Simon can verify. Simon, you know that when I told people about the World Trade Center and went on KISS and announced the location, right? Right. I announced that it would be in the second week of September. Right. I announced what time it would be. And I announced the technique, that it would either be a tactical nuke or a jumbo jet flown into the side of the building, right?
Right. Like a year and a half, 2 years before it happened.
Yeah. Well, when I did the big announcement was when somebody called up, one of the callers, well, you've been on the show for all that time and you talking about them disasters. And I ain't seen one of them happen yet. That's one of them callers that KISS would have, you know. And I'd be in the studio with Tume and Bob and Fatine, and I'd just be gritting like, it's like, oh my God. And I'd say, well, sis, this is the way it is. That, well, they didn't blow it up in 1993. So what makes you think that they're gonna do it now? And I said, well, listen, sis, they're persistent. And then I said, and they can also get creative this time. Like, what you talking about? Well, who knows? Maybe they have a tactical nuke. Or they could do like one terrorist group was going to do in 1989 and crash a jumbo jet into the side of the building like they were going to do to the Eiffel Tower, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I just announced, and then also don't forget the anthrax, right? Spoke about the anthrax before it happened, right? So how is that relevant for now?
Mm-hmm.
There were people that you know of, a number of different people. I won't announce one's name because this particular person now works for the Department, the Secret Service, you know, the people who are the president. But you know who he is, him and his wife.
Right.
And the thing is that he was there when it happened. And he said, you know, if he didn't have that class that told him what to do, he might not have been there. One particular person who's a guy named Victor, who was actually in the World Trade Center when the planes hit, or when the first plane hit. And he took a class and he was able to navigate his way out of the situation, even though he was in the lobby of the World Trade Center and the jet fuel came down the elevator shaft and exploded. He knew what to do because he was trained to do it. So here's the relevance of that today. Do you want to know what the government is thinking right now? Do you want to know what they believe that the next attacks will be? Do you want to know where the danger points are? Do you want to know what the mode is? If you want to know that so that you can plan for it, then you come to the class. I can't talk about this stuff on legacy media. I won't even talk about it here. You want to know why? Because if I do that, that would be totally irresponsible of me. Because there could be somebody who's a bad actor out there who decides, you know what, that sounds like a good idea. I should do that. So we're not going to try to manifest something. We're going to try to protect people from what the bad guys are going to manifest. But if you want advanced information of that, then you come to the class and get into the fold, because you'll have advanced warning and you'll have the ability to plan for what comes next. And that's what this is all about. And you'll be able to help your family. You might save a life. Like Victor. Victor told me, now Victor got messed up emotionally because of what he saw, people jumping and everything else. But Victor's still alive to this day. And every time I see this guy, he just gives me a big hug and thanks me for the classes that he had, because if I didn't have those Aton, I would have been dead. It's like, okay, so this is the difference between life and death, between serious injury, between misery and suffering. And like Simon said, death comes to us all. So it's not about death. We're not afraid of that. We're afraid of suffering, especially if you don't need to.
That's right. That's right.
Come to that class.
Well, Aton, brother, I want to thank you very much for coming on and sharing the wisdom as usual, man, and giving it up. I know you could have gone real dark, but you kept it light, and that's good.
I'm not going to go that dark. You know what? If I want to go dark, I'll go on some metal show. You know what I mean? Where somebody's like, they already have a like super dark vibe. But you know what though, Simon? Seriously, going super dark, it's not effective. Right. Unless the people are goths and they like that kind of thing. Generally, speaking, we're here to help you. We're not here to scare you. And the Jessica, because she's like, you don't have to be uptight, Jessica. You're going to know everything that you need to know. You came into the fold and we got you. And anybody who comes to this class, we got you. King Simon has been doing this for now. Damn, Simon, you've been doing this for 30 years now, practically. I think it is like 30 years.
90, from 97, 98. Yeah,
27 years.
27 years. Yeah,
so the thing is that you've been doing
I knew you longer than that, though, but you know.
No, you know me, but we knew about each other from the 80s.
80s, yeah.
From the 80s. But you've been doing this, and you've been teaching people and training people for many years. Yeah. People, you reach out to Simon. He's just not the numerator. He's also the preparedness dude. He's also an IA guy. He still even has the old IA hat. We got new stuff.
Yeah, I'm not in Georgia right now, but yeah, I still have all the equipment. I just carried what I needed for this trip, of course.
But you know, the difference too, Simon, is that this time the IA is formally structured so that you can become an IA instructor.
Exactly. Good.
See?
Good.
So this way people can become IA in the same way you'd become a black belt, in the same way you'd go to a karate class, a judo class, a jiu-jitsu, Sanukas class, go to train with, Grandmaster McLeod, people like that. You can become an IA practitioner. And also keeping in mind that we're connected to the mechanism, so that you can sit in on some of the FEMA stuff and do the things that I do, so that you can be aware of everything. And then you can share this with your family. So getting a ticket, not only helping us, the IPN, helping the Kaya Eco program, but you are part of that stream of information now that you can use to protect your family, your friends, your whole circle, your business. If you have a business, you're going to want to know what's going to happen, right? That's how you can protect it. So come on down and join us on Saturday. It's going to be a great day.
No problem, brother. Well, thank you very much for coming on, brother. And man, this was high power. Make sure y'all rewind and listen to it again, but make sure y'all click on, of course, the button here and pay. It's only $79.99. Aton, for his type of information, he charged up to $2,000 an hour. People don't even know he can charge a lot more, but he's here to help out. He's helping out, and he's here to serve the community. He's always been like that since I met him. Big up to Sister Jamila that actually made that a reintroduction again. But when I found out she was married to Kim Coles, and me and her brother was good friends, it was just, now we know where it came from.
That's right. You coming in the house. I first met King Simon at my ex's house, Kim Coles. You know her from Living Single. And you know, in color, and that's when I first did King Simon. This was I didn't want to talk about how long ago that was.
Yeah, that's definitely 80s, brother. Because I was like 82, 83. When you were dealing with Kim, what year did you start dealing?
We started seeing each other in 84, 85.
Yeah, so around that time, 84, 85. Yeah,
but I was out there at the house like in 83 because we would, that's when I was doing the stand up, and so. We would hang out, before we were hanging out all the time.
Yeah. So I know, Carlton and of course Gene and Gary and all of us we were doing the moonwalk and pop locking back in the church together. So yes. Aton, thank you very much. And tell Kendall I send my greetings and love. Of course, I got to get her back on, of course, because we need to hypnotize some of these people into understanding why they need to be prepared.
No, you know what? No. If anything, they should do the hypnosis after they do the class.
After they do the class,
then they can balance themselves off after they do the class. It's not that you're not going to get bad information in the class. You're not going to be scared. You're going to be informed. But the hypnosis will help you to motivate you to do what you have to do after you get to class, so that you won't procrastinate. Like, how the New Year's comes and you say, I'm going to do this. I'm going to lose weight. I'm going to stop drinking. I'm going to stop smoking. And you don't want to do things like New Year's resolutions. I'm going to do this. And then after 3 weeks after New Year's, it's like, damn, I was going to lose weight. I was going to stop smoking. I was going to stop drinking. But damn, this whiskey looked good to me. Good. You know what I mean? I got to hit that blunt now because it's been 3 weeks. You know what I mean? So
that is crazy.
Kendall comes in for that kind of therapy. You always have Kendall come do the hypnotherapy after you do the
class. Exactly.
That'll motivate you. And I'll tell you something, it really does work. If you have a problem with motivating yourself, take the class and then do the hypnotherapy with Kendall.
Exactly.
Work something out with you to do something.
Exactly. Aton, thank you very much, man, for coming on and sharing your wisdom.
We did it.
And we finally got to do it. I can't wait for the book to come out so we can do what we got to do again.
Yes, sir. And
all right. Take care.
All right, brother. See you soon.
All right. Peace and love. Yes. That's our brother Aton, man. Very, 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 very informative. All the time that I've known him, he's been very informative. Let me give him a round of applause. Of course, I play that a round of applause. Good, very informative, and wasn't too jokey, but it is a serious thing. Make sure you hit him up at Aton, at the real Aton Edwards on IG. And hit them up. Also, go to afroprepnow.com. That's afroprepnow.com. The website is pinned on the description. The website is pinned on the chat and also in the description of this video. You can also get to go to the website. Again, let me show the website. So you can go ahead and sign up, lock it in, learn IA, improvisation, adaptation, and the life protection fundamental workshop that he's doing this coming Saturday, June the 29th. That's June the 29th, a day before Mike Tyson's birthday. So stop playing. So it's going to be fire. It's going to be fire because he's going to really, really help people out on levels beyond what you feel So, and there's so much I can go into and all that I've learned over the years, and I keep it light because I think it's important to know all different aspects of things, but yet, as well as being prepared, you still have to be able to play. You still have to be able to, because people don't know that I used to go to a nightclub and MC a party with my gear on. I had my gear on my back, or I had my gear in the corner right next to me just in case something popped off in the club. I have a preparedness gear just in case things was going down. Even during 9/11, the clubs was packed, and I was still emceeing a nightclub in 9/11 on 2001. So I was still an MC. So I still had my gear and all my stuff with me. They didn't know. Only those that came to the classes that came to the club, and which was very few because everybody was really about partying. But I was still motivating crowds and emceeing and mic controlling crowds with my gear on. And I got into every club with my gear. So, people always knew that I came with a bag. They may have thought it was DJ equipment or CDs or whatever, but it was not CDs. It was a gas mask. It was a filtration hood. It was different things, but it wasn't that big a bag. The bag was probably no more than probably 5 pounds, and it was probably no bigger than 6 inches. And that's how I was moving, because I don't need that much when you know your terrain and you know what you have to adapt to, because it's improvising and adapting. I knew how to get out of every club and every venue that I ever emceed. I know how to get out of Madison Square Garden when I MC, because before the show, I would walk around the venue, and because I had access backstage, I knew the exits and all the different exits, and I would sometimes would have to ask some of the union workers where the exits were, so I would know, and in my mind, I know where I can get off and where my bag was, or if I had my bag on me while I was emceeing big shows with Buju or Beres or whatever. And Aton has come to shows where I was hosting major places with thousands of people. We still had our gear. We got in with our gear. We took care of it. We did what we got to do and got in and got out. It's not going to obstruct your growth. It's not going to hinder you to be able to learn these classes. It's not going to hinder you at all. Believe me when I say that. It's not going to hinder you at all. Matter of fact, it's going to help you to be more aware even while you're playing, not to be morbid and crazy, not to be overzealous. It's really about preparing, praying, playing, and preparing. So if you want to play and enjoy yourself, cool, but make sure your mind is still, when it's time to jump into the right mode and adapt, improvise and adapt in any given situation. Wherever you're living, go and take the workshop right now. Go and press that button right there, because if you press here, it's going to lead you straight to there. It's going to lead you straight to where you need to go to pay for. Very simple. Then the email comes, all that kind of stuff. So think about it. Think about it. Think about it. Think about it. Okay? Think about it. Let me stop sharing this. I want to thank each and every one of y'all for coming on. I want to thank each and every one of y'all for tuning in. I want to thank everybody for locking in. And remember, go to afroprepnow.com. That's afroprepnow.com. I want to thank all of you that tune in from whichever part of the world, whatever time you may be locking in. I want to thank you, and want to remind everybody again that this coming Wednesday, on the 17th, well, no. Next Wednesday, we will be doing the Healing Vibe show. We didn't do it yesterday. And get your tickets to Forbidden Knowledge Award Show. Of course, vote for your brother. Vote for me at the award show, 954-245-0086. Remember, the event, Gathering of the Masters, has been sold out. Gathering of the Masters have been sold out. We're also doing that tribute to Dick Gregory and Baba Ashra Kwesi coming up. That's going to be well attended. More than likely, we're going for the sellout crowd also in Atlanta, in Georgia, on the 12th and the 13th of October. Big up to CarrieAnnIngram.com. That's CarrieAnnIngram.com. Once again, CarrieAnnIngram.com. Hit her up for all of her services. Also, check out LevinUniversity.com. That's Nina Dunham. Cardology, astrology, numerology. Check out Lloyd Strayhorn, Lloyd-Strayhorn.com. Check out my son and his studio with Brother Jeff at greenstudionyc.com. If you want to book a session with me, I have 10 to 15 minute sessions now, and my other sessions are 30 to 35, maybe 40-minute sessions now. So it has changed, and I do send you a type up of your name broken down in a basic perspective, your full name or just your first name, depending on what session you're paying for. Remember, you can go to Udemy and just put in the word numerovation, and you can get my course right now on Udemy, udemy.com. And remember, all my books are on Amazon right now. That's amazon.com or Linktree/King Simon, the Numerovator. And remember, the children's book is about to come out thanks to Rainbow Arts, but also thanks to my dear brother, Joshua Sarah, for helping to reformat what it needed to happen. Once again, I want to thank Aton Edwards for coming on, the disaster preparedness, self-reliance, sustainability, and survival expert. He really gave us a lot of information. So make sure you rewind this, play it back. But most of all, make sure you join him in the class. AfroPrepNow.com, AfroPrepNow. Let me put that particular website on the front page here. AfroPrep.com is very important. AfroPrep.com. That's the website right there. Go to AfroPrep. Go learn. Go learn with an open mind and open heart. Go and learn, because it's good to be it's great to be prepared and not be in a situation than to be in a situation and not be prepared. Not telling you to be morbid. We're not telling you to be experts. We want you to know the basics. And when you apply the basics, those basics become techniques that you can constantly use over and over again in any township, in any part of the world. Once you know your terrain and you know what is possible in those different parts and regions of the world. That's what AfroPrepNow offers.com offers. Aton and the whole crew. I'm part of that crew. So show them some love. All right. Because Aton has been doing this for almost 40 years, if not 40 years and more. Big up to his late great mom who supported him, and big up to his great father, former Marine, who also support him, and his son and his wife Kendall. Big up to all of them and what they're doing. All right. Make sure y'all go to my PayPal and Cash App if you want to spread love the righteous way and not the unrighteous way. Spread love the righteous way, because if you spread and circulate love, then love circulates and spread back to you. All right. Take care. Have a great day, afternoon, or evening. Be strong, be focused, be prepared, but be prayed up, and play when you need to play. But make sure you be prepared in whatever you do. All right. Take care. Love you. This have been your brother King Simon right here on King Simon Presents Only Quality People. Bye. Content disclaimer. The views, comments, and opinions expressed by guest speakers or authors on this YouTube channel do not necessarily reflect or represent the views and opinions held by this channel's broadcasters and its sponsors. Parental guidance is advised. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of Copyright Act of 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comments, news reporting, teachers, scholarship, education, and research. For fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringed. This is King Simon. Remember, make sure you go to my website, kingsimonproductions.wordpress.com. That's kingsimonproductions.wordpress.com, or Linktree at King Simon the Numeral Beta. Get all 4 of my books, and of course, that's the Numerovation for Mental Stability. Numbers are simple, people are complicated. Numbers are simple, children's health is important, and no promotion is bad promotion. Just spell my name right. Make sure you get them now on all my links. That's kingsimonproductions.wordpress.com. Go now.
Hey everyone, it's Billy Carson, aka Forbidden Knowledge. I am thrilled to introduce to you an extraordinary weekend event happening right here in Miami, Florida on August 3rd and 4th. It's none other than the 2nd annual Forbidden Conscious Awards weekend. After the tremendous success of last year's event with over 1,200 attendees from around the globe, we knew we had to make this year's event even more spectacular. On Saturday, we have a captivating conference lined up featuring world-renowned speakers such as Muhammad Ibrahim, Merkaba 13, Robert Grant, Billy Carson, and a women's panel hosted by Elizabeth Carson. Following the conference, we'll set sail for a VIP yacht cruise at sunset where you'll have the chance to mingle with your favorite nominees and celebrity guests, all hosted by yours truly, Billy Carson. On Sunday, August 4th, kicks off with a Forbidden Knowledge book publishing signing event, followed by the highly anticipated 2nd annual Forbidden Conscious Awards. This is a red carpet affair, so come dressed to impress. Remember last year we surprised a lucky guest with an Audi A4 during the awards, and this year we're upping the ante with a chance to win a Mercedes-Benz. So make sure you secure your tickets early. This event is sure to sell out quickly. I cannot wait to see each and every one of you there for what promises to be an unforgettable weekend.
Numerovation with King Simon. Text me now at 347-496-1022. You could also take my course if you want to, but do text me for your sessions at 347-496-1022. You could also get my books on Amazon at Linktree/King Simon the Numerovator. Remember, you can book your session and get it done right now. 347-496-1022. That's 347-496-1022. King Simon the Numerovator.
So now, let's suppose the day has come. We have first contact, and the government and the military are scrambling to try and formulate some sort of plan to deal with this. We don't quite know what we're facing. And one of the big issues, of course, is communication.
Tonight, it's Billy Carson. We're going to be talking about his new series, Anunnaki. The plans for 2024. It's going to be premiering across the country. We're going to be talking about that. And we've got a very, very special announcement tonight.
U.S. intelligence officers discovered a number of top secret documents. They confirmed that Germany was indeed exploring the under-ice space of Antarctica. There have also been reports of underwater submersible objects coming right up out of the ocean.
The beginning of this year was so startling in its energetic imprint that I thought, I want to get a really clear idea of what's coming up. Many of us have heard throughout the last few years that we're going into a time that is going to be more challenging.
You'll be learning how numbers dictate everything in the universe and how you can use this knowledge to help you on your journey. We're going to make the mathematical universe simple for you to break down the calculations of your future. So remember, our job as studiers of these metaphysical, esoteric knowledge is to help enhance people to be better. I, as a numerator, using the numbers, or quote-unquote numerals, and motivation to get people to understand why they need to activate their numbers to be their very best self and maximize it. Because the numerals hold a frequency. And if you're willing to turn up that frequency, then that frequency can help to guide you and navigate you to a higher height that will allow you to spiral to be your best self. We must remember that.